Alright, so with that done, go ahead and back to the Nexus again. And now we need to push this world all the way to pure black world tendency. So, thankfully we don't have a lot of souls, but I'm going to spend them and pick up some arrows here. Oh, I'm over inventory capacity. Pity. Anyway, so for our suicides here, I would suggest you go to the ivory tower here. It's going to be really easy to just eat ourselves off cliffs here, so. Go ahead and put on your stones. One. One of the easiest ways to do this, if you really don't care about your character tendency, is to just keep invading. Every time you kill somebody, your body gets restored. The only problem is this will plummet your character tendency down into the darkness. Now, while there are dark tendency events in every single area, we're going to run out of stones before we get a chance to do every single one of them. But despite that, this one, there's actually some really important loot for us to get. There's the Sodden Ring, so it's definitely worth doing here. And of course, back in World 2, we got that there's actually some really important loot. Now, while there are dark tendency events in every single area, we're going to run out of stones before we get a chance to do every single one of them. But despite that, this one, there's actually some really important loot for us to get. There's the Sodden Ring, so it's definitely worth doing here. And of course, back in World 2, we got the Talisman of Beasts, which we need to do the cracked version of our spell, so it was also very worth doing over there. As for the other areas, more than likely what I'm going to do, because typically to do something like this, what you'd want to do is do some co-op, help people restore their humanity, and then get back in your world of suicide. Either that, or there is a farm for infinite stones, but the infinite stone farm, you're sacrificing the primary miracle merchant of the game, so I would not recommend that for your first run. And we are one away. Now, technically, you can do all of the pure black stuff in one go. I would not recommend it. It's kind of hard, speaking frankly. But there are two main things there are technically three things that we are concerned with now that we are in pure black. The first is the stuff in this region, which includes the Primeval Demon, because we want his upgrade material, and the Sodden Ring, because we want to have access to that for World 5-2. The next thing is the Black Phantom. The guy we just freed, Rydell, right back where he was at his cage, he'll show up as a Black Phantom that we can fight. Now, he's not particularly hard. The item he drops is kind of interesting for certain builds. It's the Phosphor Pole. But the only way, when we kill our Primeval Demon, the world tendency is going to change up. The only way to get them all in one go would be to start. You know what? We could. Let me just do this. Let me see if we can pull it off. Let's see if we can do it. Let's see if we can do the one big go and pull it off. Might as well show it instead of talking about it. This is the only way we're going to be able to do this since we're running out of stones. Boy, oh boy. So, back to Prison of Hope. downside is if I die, it's a bunch of wasted time. So we are just making our way right back to where Rydell was. So, round up. Keep in mind that because we're on pure black tendency, enemies may be a bit tankier. So even though we just ran through this, it might not be as smooth and easy as it previously was. The other thing about pure black is loot rates are increased. Should work. I hope it works, because technically it's like it's not an actual warp, but it is a kind of a warp. Anyway, here down to Rydell. Now Rydell can do some mean ass magic. Kill this guy first.
The picture of roid-raging testosterone monsters is planted into people's heads, thus finding them even stronger through that gym. Financially speaking, it's a masterpiece. Perhaps this is a bit of a conspiracy theory, but it's also possible that it's in Planet Fitness's best interest to keep their members out of shape so they'll continue to pay for membership. On the first Monday of every month, Planet Fitness hosts Pizza Monday, during which free pizza is given to members before, after, and even during their workouts. Then similarly, on the second Tuesday of every month, Planet Fitness has Bagel Tuesday, following the same concept but with free bagels. Planet Fitness makes a pretty decent argument for why they consider this to be acceptable, stating on their website, it's okay to indulge in a treat every once in a while. The truth is, one slice of pizza isn't going to destroy a month's worth of work in the gym, which is why Planet Fitness Pizza Monday and Bagel Tuesday only roll around once a month. Moderation is key, yet as you might expect, these free junk food days have come with even more public backlash.
I'm doing like squats and deadlifts, and the smell of like 100 pizzas is coming at me. It's just not right, Planet Fitness.
Bro, it's not even that, man. Like, you just have pizza out. Bro, you have people sweating, staph infection, people touching the boxes and stuff like that. It's just not sanitary either, man.
Come on, the pizza being in the gym, it's just not right. They don't go together. Offer free salads, offer free, protein shakes. But pizza? No, Planet Fitness.
Pizza at a gym is like having AA meetings in a bar. Nothing like getting a good workout than enjoying a high-calorie pizza afterwards, #gains. It's actually a genius tactic. You go there to lose weight and get in shape, they give you pizza, you gain some weight, you have to go back to lose that weight. Keeps you in that gain weight, lose weight cycle. Planet Fitness not actually wanting their members to lose weight might also explain some of the other things that you can get with your membership, such as their total body enhancement chamber, which, sounding like a pile of infomercial garbage, apparently helps work muscle groups, firms and tones the body, as well as helps reduce stress. However, these no-effort scam machines just reiterate the type of customers that Planet Fitness are generally going after. Their cheap $10 per month memberships are seemingly designed to appeal to people who will go once or twice, never turn up again, but also never cancel their membership because, well, nobody can be bothered to go into the gym to cancel it when it's only 33 cents per day.
What do I have to do to cancel this membership? Oh, you have to come into the location or else write a letter. The gym where I stay is 45 minutes away from where I live at. Is those the only two ways? Yes, those are the only two ways. You have to physically come in to cancel your membership.
And judging from some of the videos on YouTube, it seems like this strategy is incredibly effective.
I've given them $10 a month for 4 years, and I've never stepped foot inside the gym.
Just to add a cherry on top of the cake, if you do want to cancel your membership, there are then massive fees involved, as well as other small charges that fall.
I remember one time I had to cancel my Planet membership because I couldn't afford it because I was trying to pay for some of the videos. But for me to cancel it, I had to pay $60 to cancel it. And bro, oh my gosh. It was like If I keep on paying this shit, I'm gonna be broke. If I pay to cancel it, I'm gonna be broke. I was in such a dilemma, man.
Force you to spend more money before you officially leave.
Make sure you don't break your contract, because if you break your contract, then it's $150 to get out of it. I see that I still got a payment, a charge from Planet Fitness. Now my membership is discontinued. Trying to get rid of gym memberships is basically trying to get rid of a boyfriend that won't go away or a nasty rash.
Their business model is to sell memberships to people who don't go regularly. Think about it. There can be 10,000 members for that one gym, but if everyone goes, then the place would be so busy it would either violate meeting codes or be so packed you wouldn't be able to work out because everyone is using something. And honestly, it's hard to blame them. Businesses are created to make money, and with over 2,000 gyms across the globe, Planet Fitness has been extremely successful. Yet, unfortunately, they've done so whilst picking up the nickname Planet Fatness in the process.
Let me tell you, man. My mom has a Planet Fitness membership. She's had it over 4 years now, and she has not used it once. It's like, bro, what is it, like $10 a month? So I'm like, oh yeah. Actually, I think hers is like 15.
If it's a problem, get on white folks and just see that shit the trial, bitch. You been hating for a while, bitch.
Is your next question?
Thank you. Candidates, we asked over the last week or so Michiganders to send in questions that they would like to ask you themselves. They can't be here, so we're going to be their surrogate, so to speak. Inflation is something that's very much Michiganders. Governor, I'll begin with you. This is a question from Mason Spence. Viewer said, with high levels of inflation hurting our pocketbooks, what step would you take with state legislators to help relieve the weight of inflation for Michiganders? And I want to add to that, is this a sign from an average citizen that the Whitmer-Biden economic plan has failed?
So let's talk about inflation. We know that there is global inflation. It is not unique to Michigan. It is not unique to the United States. A governor cannot fix global inflation, but what I can do is put more money in your pockets. And that's exactly what we've done. Working in a bipartisan way with a Republican legislature, we were able to help 150,000 families get free or low-cost daycare. Money in the pocket. We were able to expand opportunities to have the state pick up a third of the cost of daycare for working families. And we also have put 170,000 Michiganders on the path to tuition-free skills. I put our fiscal house in order by paying down debt. We've gotten our credit rating upgraded, and that's how we can eliminate the retirement tax, triple the earned income tax credit, and pause the sales tax on gas. All proposals I've made that are sitting in front of us.
Mrs. Dixon, it's easy to criticize and point fingers when you're not doing. If you had been in power when all of the things that have happened over the last 4 years have happened, what decisions would you have made that would have helped change what is going on with our economy? And if elected by the people, what is your specific plan to make the economy better?
Well, I've heard several times from Gretchen Whitmer that she'll work with anyone on anything and that she's bipartisan. But she's actually vetoed quite a bit of opportunity to put money back into the pockets of the people. She vetoed a child tax credit. She vetoed 2 opportunities to reduce the income tax. She also vetoed retirement help for retirement income. So when she had the opportunity to actually do that, she's vetoed it. In fact, even a gas tax holiday,
yes, sir,
and she vetoed that. But we know that part of her policy was to raise the gas tax by 45 cents per gallon. So you'd be paying $5 a gallon for gas right now.
You weren't too bad at all, Rydell. Phosphorus pole acquired. Now, if we warp or anything, if we warp or we die, actually, no, I think it might just be on warp. That shouldn't do it. But either way, we need to get over to the second portion of this level. So, run past this guy again. eat our way right past that guy. If we get all the way back over here, the gargoyles, to be honest, I didn't test this. The gargoyles should pick us up and take us out of here. That's how it worked in the original, so I'm hoping it still works that way in the remake. Because otherwise we need to burn through 3 of these to get back down to pure black. But we'll find out in a second. Excellent. Right. So now we can run right back where we were. And we just need to get over to, the elevators that go down into the swamp. First set, second set, doesn't matter. We just got to get over those elevators. When we kill the primeval demon, we get the sodden ring, and everyone lives happily ever after. A little bit of luck this episode. So we had the poll, obviously, on the channel about whether people wanted to see a strength build or a magic for the walkthrough. And ultimately, we decided that a strength build would be more consistent, especially from the perspective of like a new player experience. You know, it's very easy to replicate the results that I'm showcasing with this type of build. But the magic spells in the remake look absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait to do a magic build. But I'm holding off on that until I'm done the walkthrough, only because I don't want to have, we have the walkthrough prep. I don't want to add a magic live stream into the mix and just have, multiple runs of Demon Souls going simultaneously. Keep in mind about the ambush gargoyle at the top. Shield out if you want. Shouldn't be a problem. Just dip past this guy. Okay. Made it to our chains. And now, from the last episode, I pointed out exactly where these are, but once again, you're going to run up and around the platforms to take out the 2 centipede men. And after we take them out, we will work around kill the other one. I don't want to go this way. This way. I hate how these things sound. These guys from afar. Alright, now this is not a guaranteed drop, so put on your item discovery ring. Colorless Demon Soul. Beautiful. And now we'll drop down, and we'll just make our way over to where we saw that big ugly ball. And once again, we can get right up here and snipe this thing safely. extra sure that I'm safe. I don't want any accidental pop shots that kill me.
Wait, what?
After we've come so far. And now we have the sodden ring. So, with all that done, we can evacuate out of here. I'm going to pop a fresh spice. Into the Nexus we go. And with that, we are completely done with both World 3 and World 2. So thanks for tuning on in. On the next episode, we are going to hop back over, and ultimately we decided that a strength build would be more
This governor has not done anything to help inflation, but I would put money back in your pockets. I would make sure we have that child tax credit. I would make sure that we reduce the income tax, and I would make sure that our seniors who are on a fixed income are not receiving more taxes than they should, and we can put more money back in their pockets.
Governor?
So listen, we've never raised the gas tax, number one. In fact, we have cut taxes. Number two, the bills Mrs. Dixon refers to were a gimmick. Republicans in Lansing wanted to tell you that they were cutting your taxes, but they didn't even take effect until spring of next year. I don't have time for games, and I don't think you do either. What I would like to know is how Mrs. Dixon plans to balance a budget giving $12 billion away and not shifting costs onto you. That's where I would be most concerned as we think about the cost shifting onto people.
Thank you, Governor. Mrs. Dixon.
She can work with anybody, but now the bills from Republicans are a gimmick. In fact, I think she's been on the House floor twice, so maybe she should have gone and tried to negotiate so that she could actually get some of those tax cuts. And I love how she says, just so you know, we never increased the gas tax. Yes, thanks to my lieutenant governor candidate who made sure we did not increase the gas tax. But even though in 2018 she stood on the debate floor and said it was nonsense and ridiculous, the idea of her raising the gas tax to favor roads, it was one of the first things that she tried to do when she was in office. All right, so switching gears a little bit here, people across the state have seen a significant spike in energy costs. Just in the last couple of weeks, our viewers in Lansing with BWL saw a significant increase. So I'm curious, how will you help Michiganders afford utilities this winter? And is there a change in the future of energy? Mrs. Dixon, we'll start with you. Well, first and foremost, I think it's important to talk about Line 5 because we know that there's a lawsuit out right now that Gretchen Whitmer would like to shut down Line 5 in the state of Michigan. That would be catastrophic and raise our energy costs in a time when exactly what you're saying. We have people that are having trouble heating their homes. And we know that Line 5 provides 65% of the propane in the Upper Peninsula, 55% in the Lower Peninsula, and the jet fuel for the Detroit airport. It's very crucial that we do everything we can to lower costs. Another way to lower energy would have been to pass a gas tax holiday so that people don't have to pay as much on their gas bill when they fill up their car. We need to make sure we do everything possible in the state of Michigan to lower the cost of energy for our people. Governor Whitmer? First, let me clarify. There has been no change in Line 5. No change. In fact, the tunnel continues to move forward. All of the permits have been executed, and it's sitting in front of the MPSC and the federal government. I think that's important to know. Secondly, we know that costs have gone up on everything. And that's why building out energy alternatives is really important, to giving you alternatives to help bringing down the cost of energy. And that's why we've really diversified and are continuing to do work in our portfolio. More wind, more solar. Right now, Michigan has the number one state for clean energy jobs in the country because we are focused on building out alternatives, ensuring our energy independence, protecting you from spikes, and protecting our Great Lakes. It's not one or the other. We must do all of it. Mrs. Dixon, you have 30 seconds to rebut. We have to be really careful that we don't kneecap our economy with a radical energy agenda. And Line 5 has not been shut down, but that's not because Gretchen Whitmer hasn't tried. In fact, even Joe Biden came out and said, you can't really shut this down. In fact, Justin Trudeau, who I would say is the most radical environmentalist in the entire world, came out and invoked a 1977 treaty telling Gretchen Whitmer she could not shut down Line 5. The only reason it's not shut down is because other people have stopped her radical.
Pointed out. I found that, especially from the perspective of like a new player experience, a strength build or wait till the walkthrough is done, only because really want to make a magic character. Like, so we had to pull obviously on the check to be more consistent type of build. I found that it's just had to keep in mind about. Okay.
Is that what?
Governor, Mrs. Dixon wants to do things the way they've always been done. We're going to look to the past. I want to build like things. I want to make sure that we are expanding our energy alternatives in clean energy and being good stewards of our water. We know that climate change is already having a huge impact, whether it's the tornado in Gaylord or the flooding in Midland. I showed up, I helped people get through it, but we need to build out clean energy alternatives and be a driving force in the transition in our autos.
Thank you both. So shortly after we announced this debate, I heard from one of our viewers in Norton Shores. His name's Greg Tierman. He had a question about the retirement tax, which, of course, I think a lot of people do. Greg gets his income from an IRA and a 401k that he and his employers contributed to over the years. Governor, entering your first term, you promised to repeal the retirement tax. So, of course, Greg wants to know if you still plan to do that with a potential second term. But he takes it farther. He says that your plan repeals pension. That your repeal or proposed repeal would cover only pensions. But again, Greg gets his retirement from a 401k. So would it cover all retirees? Would that tax break cover all retirees? What can we tell Greg?
So, Greg, when I was in the legislature, the Republican governor and Republican legislature pushed through the retirement tax. They started taxing people who work for a living, played by the rules, set aside money, and now are living on fixed incomes. And I said it was wrong then, and it is still wrong. I am trying to repeal the retirement tax. I'm standing in my way to the Republican legislature in Lansing. I have done a lot of work with them, but they are standing in the way of us repealing this. I want to give you relief. You played by the rules. You should be able to reap the rewards of the work that you did over a lifetime and not have this new tax when you're on fixed incomes. So absolutely, I have tried to get the retirement tax repealed. A Republican legislature standing in the way. With a second term and a new legislature, I'm hopeful we can finally get it done.
All right. Ms. Dixon, if you're elected, what's your plan for the retirement tax?
Well, Greg, first of all, I want to note that your exact question about increasing the exemption for retirement income, that actually did go to the governor's desk, and that was another one of her line item vetoes. She had the opportunity to reduce that. She did stand on the debate stage in 2018 and say that that was one of her top priorities, was to eliminate the retirement tax. But as you noted, that would be for public pensions, not all retirees. So I do want you to be assured that I feel it's very important that we make sure that money goes back into the pockets of all retirees in the state of Michigan, especially as we head into a recession. We're already seeing this massive inflation because of the Biden-Whitmer policies. The recession is right at our doorstep, and I want to make sure that we get as much money back to our retirees as possible.
Thank you, Mrs. Dixon. And before you rebut, Governor, I will remind you that in your second term, you very well could have a GOP legislature.
I think we'll have a much more reasonable legislature because we just went through term limits and redistricting. And I'm hopeful that we will actually get legislators who are representative of the people they serve. But I think it's important to ask a question. Mrs. Dixon has said she will eliminate the retirement tax. How is she going to balance the budget? She has said that she will cut income tax. That's $12 billion in the budget. How is she going to balance that? She's toyed with the sales tax. Is she going to raise the sales tax by an additional 8 cents? These are questions I think we need answers to.
Ms. Dixon.
I've talked about repealing the income tax over time, a responsible reduction of the income tax and removing it over an 8 to 10 year period. This is not a radical concept. We have 9 states in the nation that already have no income tax. In fact, not only do they have no income tax, but they are thriving economically. And as you bring more people into the state, you have more revenue as a state. If we could look to the future and balance our budget better, the governor has already put an additional almost $20 billion into the budget in the 4 years that she's been there.
Dixon. Thank you for that answer. Joe.
All right, thank you very much. We have a couple more questions here on another important topic, education, which everyone says that they're very concerned with. This particular question comes from Anna Wolf. She's in Madison Heights. She wants to know, what will you do to help improve the public schools in Michigan? Also, Ellie Rakenstein of Bloomfield Hills, along the same vein, says, how will you as governor change the education system in the state and keep oversight over the state superintendent and the Michigan Department of Education? If you talk with many of the organizations that are concerned about education, business leaders for Michigan and others, they will tell you that we are not a top 10 state yet, and that is one of our goals. We just recently saw that for 4th and 8th grade, that the test scores for reading and math have plunged. How will you make us a top 10 state?
As you noted, we are not a top 10 state. We're not even close. We're actually a bottom 10 state right now. We just got our test scores back for 4th and 8th graders, and we are really doing horribly in reading and math for 4th and 8th graders. This is something that has been a pillar of my campaign, to bring education back in the state of Michigan. Not only do we want to make sure that parents are involved in education, but we want to make sure that our kids are back on track from the pandemic. Most states that had schools out as long as Michigan, which there are very few, so close to as long as the state of Michigan had students out of school, have had comprehensive tutoring programs go into their schools. The governor has talked about literacy coaches going into our schools. I haven't found any schools that have literacy coaches yet, but I want to have a comprehensive 25-hour tutoring program for every student across the state to make sure that they get back on track from the
Made it to our chains. Run on through. Grab this, the new moon grace. For now, we want to make our way to that shiny off in the distance. That is the sword. There's also some crystal lizards that we can kill here, but don't worry about them for now. It'll be a lot easier we can just respawn them once we get the arc stone and farm them very easily that way. Okay, that is certainly a problem. Let me see. Send the storage, send the storage, send the storage, send the storage. Send you to storage. There we go. So with the Storm Ruler on, go on and equip that. And then just go this way. Grab this guy while we're running past it. We're going to make our way to the house in the back. The house is our safety place. Alright, now for the most part, you are going to be safe as long as you're in this house. I actually think that was all 3 leads. Let me look though real fast. Grass, stone over on the right, soul. Okay, so there's a stone, we can get stone. So as long as you're like in a corner here, you're going to be safe. Unless something flies up behind you like that guy. But we're going to go ahead, we'll cast second chance since we have it now. Now, if we do happen to die, it's not going to matter. And now just keep on the sword and just swing. This is all we're going to do. We literally are going to target stuff and hit our one, knock them out of the sky. You can use magic if you want. You can use magic or snipe here, but we're over away magic mats. We need to work our way up top. We'll make our way to it. What is happening, y'all? Welcome on back. So before we go into this next zone, if you've been following along, you should have access to the Sodden Ring. As a reminder, we got this on pure Black World Tendency in 3-2. Basically when we took the cage down into the area, picked it on up. And we're going to want this for the next zone, so put that up. In addition to that, we are going to want to have access to the Noble's Lotus to counteract poison. Add on. Before we go, make sure you spend any souls you have to level on up. We're going to keep bumping endurance. And then as always, make sure you aren't in body form. We don't want to be risking tendency at all. So, to the Swamp of Sorrow we go. Now, if you are a lightweight build to make this area even easier, let's say you don't need the Ring of Great Strength, Regenerator's Ring is actually really, really nice here. It'll help out a ton, so it's something to consider. But otherwise, just run on down. It's a long run. Alright, here it is. Butthole of Demon Souls. Let us run this way. There's one guy we're going to kill. I'm probably going to be using the axe the majority of this zone. Now you can see a shortcut right there. We can't get that for quite a while, but no worries. We will make our way to it. I'm going to pick up the Noble's Lotus. Drop down. Kill these guys. Now, as you can see, we're just walking around in the swamp. This is because of the Sodden Ring. If we don't have the Sodden Ring on, this is your default movement speed. When you try to roll, that happens. So 100% you want the Sodden Ring. You'll also notice that we're already poisoned. You're going to be getting poisoned a lot here. And the biggest thing is poison will drastically reduce how much you're able to heal. So we want to be able to Noble's Lotus and then quickly get off a heal. But anyway, after we drop down, head on over to the left over here. And get this guy. Actually, you know what? I might even, just because I really do like the regenerator setup. There we go, we'll do that. The regenerator ring, along with the shield, will greatly offset how much damage we're taking from the poison. But after we have grabbed that, we're going to swing to the right. Just in case you get the Meridian Hammer. In case you don't have the Regenerator's Ring, which you should, if you've been following along, no worries, because there's another one right here. Which I actually need to, I'm always going over on my items. Some storage. I mean, it's kind of hard to maintain low items when we have the Dragon Bone Smasher. So let's see, left for Hero's Soul, Meridian Hammer, Regen Ring. Okay, so now we are going to run along this wall here. These guys, these little jellyfish-looking things that you see off in the distance, they will slowly float towards you. They're probably not going to be a concern, to be honest. We should be, I mean, especially having the Sodden Ring, we're able to swing through this area pretty fast. But there's going to be 3 storied hero souls that we're going to want to get. Second. after getting those, go on and hit Big Boy. We want to pull him out. We're able to looking things that you see off in the distance. They will slowly along. We're really offset how much. You know what? I might. But anyway, after we drop down, head on over to the left over here and get this guy. Actually, you know what? I might even, just because I really do like the regenerator setup. There we go. We'll do that. The regenerator ring, along with the shield, will greatly offset how much damage we're taking from the poison. But after we have grabbed that, we're going to swing to the right. Just in case you get the Meridian Hammer. In case you don't have the regenerator's ring, which you should if you've been following along, no worries, because there's another one right here, which I actually need to. I'm always going over on my items. Storage. I mean, it's kind of hard to maintain low items when we have the Dragon Bone Smasher. So let's see. Left for Hero Soul, Meridian Hammer, Regen Ring. Okay, so now we are going to run along this wall here. These guys, these little jellyfish-looking things that you see off in the distance, they will slowly float towards you. They're probably not going to be a concern, to be honest. We should be, I mean, especially having the Sodden Ring, we're able to swing through this area pretty fast. But there's going to be 3 storied hero souls that we're going to want to get. Second. And that's the third. So after getting those, go on and hit Big Boy. We want to pull him out. If you can kill him before he gets here, great. If not, no worries. Typically these guys are a bigger threat, but having the Sodden Ring and being able to roll really makes this area much easier. Up here. Kill everybody. And now we're going to make our way down this way past a couple of these guys. Now you can, before we do, let's get a quick heal in here. Bubbles Lotus, Lake Grass. I would suggest just running past them. They move really slow, and unless you get like surrounded by them, they're not going to really hurt you. Also, they're not worth much. As you can see, killing one here. A whopping 28 souls. But so go over here from this unknown hero soul, and now we're going to make our way across here, just skipping from island to island and grabbing all these goodies. Now, off in the distance, you can see an invader. So get ready. It's an NPC invader. It's not a player, so you don't need to worry about that. But they are probably the most deadly thing out here. If anything out here is going to kill you, it's going to be that. Sodden Ring is going to make things significantly easier because we won't need to worry about them being able to. They can roll, and we can't roll, so you don't need to worry about that anymore, thankfully. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to put on Second Chance here. Pop an H Spice. We're going to put on Cursed Weapon. Put our shield on. And we're going to run and kill this invader. Using the butcher knife. Do not let that hit you. Like that, as you can see, does tons of damage. Ideally, you want to fight them on the island just so you don't need to worry about getting poisoned. Make our way across here, just skipping from island to island and grabbing all these goodies. Now, off in the distance, you can see an invader. So get ready. It's an NPC invader. It's not a player, so you don't need to worry about that. But they are probably the most deadly thing out here. If anything out here is going to kill you, it's going to be that. Sodden Ring is going to make things significantly easier because we won't need to worry about them being able to, they can roll and we can't roll, so you don't need to worry about that anymore, thankfully. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to put on Second Chance here. Pop an H-Spice. And we're going to put on Cursed Weapon. Put our shield on. And we're going to run and kill this invader. Using the butcher knife. Do not let that hit you. Like that, as you can see, does tons of damage. Ideally, you want to fight him on the island just so you don't need to worry about getting poisoned. There we go. Ooh. And now we have access to the cat ring. Go on and pick up the Faint Stone Chunk and Stone of Imperial Eyes. There's 2 goodies over there and a couple guys over here. Let's go over this way and kill these ones first. Black Pine Resin. Go on over and grab these. And we're just running on over to this island. And this is the island where we had fought those guys earlier. So, made it back. Get rid of the poison. And that's the first half of the poison swamp. So, you know, really easy having the Sodden Ring to assist us along in doing this. Go ahead and open this up. Sodden Ring is going to make things significantly easier. But anyway, after we drop down, head on over to the left over here. And get this guy. Actually, you know what? I might even, just because I really do like the regenerator setup. There we go, we'll do that. The regenerator ring, along with the shield, will greatly offset how much damage we're taking from the poison. But after we have grabbed that, we're going to swing to the right. Just in case you get the Meridian Hammer. In case you don't have the regenerator's ring, which you should, if you've been following along. No worries, because there's another one right here. Which I actually need to, I'm always going over on my items. Storage. I mean, it's kind of hard to maintain low items when we have the Dragon Bone Smasher. So let's see, left for Hero Soul, Meridian Hammer, Regen Ring. Okay, so now we are going to run along this wall here. These guys, these little jellyfish-looking things that you see off in the distance, they will slowly float towards you. They're probably not going to be a concern, to be honest. We should be, I mean, especially having the Sodden Ring, we're able to swing through this area pretty fast. There's going to be 3 storied hero souls that we're going to want to get. Second. And that's the third. So after getting those, go on and hit Big Boy. We want to pull him out. If you can kill him before he gets here, great. If not, no worries. Typically these guys are a bigger threat, but having the Sodden Ring and being able to roll really makes this area much easier. Up here. Kill everybody. And now we're going to make our way down this way past a couple of these guys. Now you can, before we do, let's get a quick heal in here. Bubbles Lotus, Lake Grass. I would suggest just running past them. They move really slow, and unless you get like surrounded by them, they're not going to really hurt you. Also, they're not worth much, as you can see, killing one here. 28 souls. But so go over here from this unknown hero soul, and now we're going to make our way across here, just skipping from island to island and grabbing all these goodies. Now, off in the distance, you can see an invader. So get ready. It's an NPC invader. It's not a player, so you don't have to worry about that. But they are probably the most deadly thing out here. If anything out here is going to kill you, it's going to be that. Sodden Ring is going to make things significantly easier because we won't need to worry about them being able to... They can roll, and we can't roll, so you don't need to worry about that anymore, thankfully. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to put on Second Chance here. Pop an H-Spice. We're going to put on Cursed Weapon. Put our shield on. And we're going to run and kill this invader. Using the butcher knife. Do not let that hit you. Like that, as you can see, does tons of damage. Ideally, you want to fight him on the island just so you don't need to worry about getting poisoned. There we go. Ooh. And now we have access to the cat ring. Go on and pick up the Faint Stone Chunk and Stone of Imperial Eyes. There's 2 goodies over there and a couple guys over here. Let's go over this way and kill these ones first. Black Pine Resin. Run over and grab these. And we're just running on over to this island. And this is the island where we had fought those guys earlier. So, made it back. Get rid of the poison. And that's the first half of the poison swamp. So, you know, really easy having the Sodden Ring to assist us along in doing this. Go ahead and open this up. Okay. Now there's 2 options here. You can either jump down and grab that stuff, or you can follow the path. We're going to follow the path here, but to be honest, it's really not worth it. Just want to snipe the mosquitoes out of the sky. Snipe these guys if you want to. But this path, basically, we're going to be climbing all the way up and risking potential growth, death by gravity, and everything else. And the only reward you get for it is some grass jelly and some black pine resin. So we're going to do it just to show you, but subsequent runs, I would suggest just avoiding this upper path completely. It's not worth it, you know, especially because of the risk of you potentially falling down and dying to gravity. Thankfully, the bow does make it pretty easy, being able to snipe these guys. Don't even give them a chance to get up on you. Our grass jelly that we worked so hard to get. It's the ambush man. Now that we got that, we can jump down, and wow, some black pine resin. Alright, so now that we're down, you can run on over here. Some dark moon grass. Run on over here. Grass and some black. Oh, now we have do not let that hit you, and we're going to run and kill this invader using the butcher knife. Do not let that hit you. like that. As you can see, does ton of damage. Ideally, you want to fight them on the island just so you don't need to worry about getting poisoned. There we go. And now we have access to the cat ring. Go on and pick up the faint stone chunk and stone of imperial eyes. There's 2 goodies over there and a couple guys over here. Let's go over this way and kill these ones first. Black pine resin. Go on over and grab these. And we're just running on over to this island. And this is the island where we had fought those guys earlier. So, made it back. Get rid of the poison. And that's the first half of the poison swamp. So, you know, really easy having the sodden ring to assist us along in doing this. Go ahead and open this up. Okay. Now there's 2 options here. You can either jump down and grab that stuff, or you can follow the path. We're going to follow the path here, but to be honest, it's really not worth it. You just want to snipe the mosquitoes out of the sky. Snipe these guys if you want to. But this path, basically, we're going to be climbing all the way up and risking potential growth death by gravity and everything else. And the only reward you get for it is some grass jelly and some black pine resin. So we're going to do it just to show you, but subsequent runs, I would suggest just avoiding this upper path completely. It's not worth it, you know, especially because of the risk of you potentially falling down and dying of gravity. Thankfully, the bow does make it pretty easy, being able to snipe these guys. Don't even give them a chance to get up on you. The grass jelly that we worked so hard to get. It's the ambush man. Now that we got that, we can jump down, and wow, some black pine resin. Alright, so now that we're down, you can run on over here. Some dark moon grass. Run on over here. A thief ring. Let's see, Darkmoon Grass and Thief Ring. This is also where we're at right now, this little island. We're going to want to come back here on pure white and pure black. Run through the swamp here. Go ahead and get rid of the poison. Got 5 skeeters. They're just rapid fire. Oh, didn't fire that one. There we go. Right, after them, going along. You'll notice some slugs. Kill the first 3. You'll notice a bunch of slugs over there and a shiny. For now, just ignore that stuff. We need to work our way up top and kill the slug nest first. So we're just going to ignore it for now, and we'll work our way over there in just a little bit. Following along. Now, we want to snipe the shaman first. The guy you can see in the back there. Shaman's not a giant threat, but he will do poison clouds, so it's just easier to take his ass out now. just make the big guys a little bit softer as they approach. Come on, big boy. Ignore that fog for now. Instead, continue this way. And this is actually where we're going to find the primeval demon when we're on pure black. Managed to make it over here without poisoned. There's a big area right here that you can see. Unfortunately, it's just empty. I know you're probably like, there's got to be something out there, but there's not. So don't worry about it. Instead, head this way. You're going to want to kill a couple of the slugs. And just work your way up this, and this is going to lead us up to the slug nest. Slow and steady. That baseball swing. Right. After you've made it all the way up, kill them. Right over here. Let's keep hitting this for a little bit. Won't take too long. Go. Kill that slug. Legendary hero soul. Now, if you look, you can actually work your way down here very carefully. This. And drop. And we can drop. And we can drop. Now, since we're through the majority of the poisony area, I'm going to actually go back to my thick boy setup here. So I want to be able to smash. But these slugs are very, very weak to fire. So what I would suggest is just put on some black pine resin. And then just run up and smash. If you have something like Firestorm, it's going to work great here. Otherwise, anything that does wide AoE attacks, like what you see me doing. Just be careful, because, you could get poisoned. Grab all the goodies from the slugs. Send to storage, send to storage. And now we have access to the great faith weapon, the large sword of moonlight. So even though it is iconically a magic weapon in the rest of the Souls titles, in this title, it's actually a faith-based weapon. So for those of you that are playing Sunbros and Demon Souls, you are in luck. Just to show this, because this is a very important one. As you can see, all the scaling is in faith. Doesn't require any strength or dex to use, and it has split damage. So the damage is half magical damage. But send that to the storage for now, unless, of course, you're a faith build, then go ahead and feel free to use it. We'll cure the poison, though, and we'll head on over this way. Probably just going to keep out my Zug sword. Now that my endurance is getting higher and higher, it's getting easier and easier for me to comfortably run this sword. Sorry, didn't I have it on earlier? I was below 50%. The helmet on? Did I not have the gloves on, maybe? No, whatever. Oh, you know what? I didn't have the bow on, that was it. Anyway, now that we've done all that, go ahead and pop this open. Honestly, I should switch to the axe for this part. But we have the merchant right here. Now, you'll notice that she has Stone of Imperial Eyes, but they're super expensive. Every time you buy one, she'll replenish your stock, but honestly, they're prohibitively expensive. It's just not worth buying them. Beyond that, this is where you get rotten arrows if you want poisonous arrows. If for some reason you don't have the talisman, a couple people have been mentioning they didn't have the talisman to trade, you can pick a new one up here. Black pine resin, of course, and then some upgrade stuff, and anti-poison if you need it. But otherwise, this next part, we are just going to grab what loot that we can initially. There's a lot of stuff here in this little town, and I'm going to need to switch, sadly. I was fighting guys in these tight corridors with the Dragon Bone Smasher. Not going to work that well. There's lots of enemies here, so just, kind of pay attention to where you're looking at shit. They will, they crawl everywhere. They're all over the place. I wasn't even able to properly note where every single one of them were. This guy we can snipe. It's one of the shamans that get poisoned, so just pop him off. This you can just slip right in here. Yeah. Now there's a couple loots that'll look out of reach. We're going to get all the stuff though, don't worry. We'll get all the loots, I promise you that. Now what we want to do is we're just going to go through this and we're basically going to kill everything that we can see. Everything that moves dies. Basically just, cruise through killing. Since I'm here, I might as well. Full armor. Right, after we pass through this, head on up top. Yes. There's a shaman above us doing a poison cloud. Not that worried about it. Kill it in a second, and then get rid of the poison. Alright, so now we've killed the majority of them. And there's still a ton of loots that we can grab here. But first thing we want to do here is I want to get the shortcut unlocked for you. So instead of worrying about the village, just stay to the left side of this path. And follow this along. Couple enemies, couple skeeters. Cruising along, make sure you're just kind of hugging this wall so there's no accidentally slips. Coming up on a crystal lizard, but there's some enemies too, so just beware. kick down the shortcut. So now, even if we do happen to die, we can safely make our way back. So now we're going to return, and we're going to get all the goodies. Lots of stuff left in that village to get, but I mean, honestly, the faster you can get the shortcuts, the better, right? So don't worry about the swamp for now. We're going to take care of those guys in part 2 of the swamp in a little bit. I'll just run on back to the village. So right here, we can drop down and get access to an unknown hero soul, and she's down in the swamp. That's the shaman we want to kill. Kill that, and you'll get access to the shaman set. And now that we're down in the swamp, we're going to run over here. We're able to pick up some nice dark moon grass. You can climb back up right here. Get the poison. Let's see. Return towards shortcut. Double grass into the village. Swing up and get all the loots out of reach. Right up, and this is right where we killed that shaman that poisoned us. And now we're just going to kind of loop around and get all of the goodies that were above and out of reach before. A couple more guys right over here. This is actually the boss fog for the area. Just the first. This battle axe has really grown on me. It's got like a nice beefy moveset, you know? Swings fast, hits hard. For this one, just come here and then roll. Would land right on it. Oh, come on. Oh, whatever. Basically just Bruce Lee Keller. It's in here as well. The water. Alright, after we pass through this, head on up top. This. There's a comment above us doing a poison job. I'm not that worried about it. Kill it in a second, and then get rid of the poison. Alright, so now we've killed the majority of them, and there's still a ton of loots that we can grab here. But first thing we want to do here is I want to get the shortcut unlocked for you. So instead of worrying about the village, just stay to the left side of this path and follow this along. Couple enemies, couple skeeters.
What was that, bro?
Keep cruising along, make sure you're just kind of hugging this wall so there's no accidentally slips. Coming up on a crystal lizard, but there's some enemies too, so just beware. Now we'll kick down the shortcut. So now even if we do happen to die, we can safely make our way back. So now we're going to return and we're going to get all the goodies. Lots of stuff left in that village to get, but I mean, honestly, the faster you can get the shortcuts, the better, right? So don't worry about the swamp for now. We're going to take care of those guys in part 2 of the swamp in a little bit. I'll just run on back to the village. So right here, we can drop down and get access to an unknown hero soul, and she's down in the swamp. That's the shaman we want to kill. Kill that, and you'll get access to the shaman set. And now that we're down in the swamp, we're going to run over here. And we're able to pick up some nice dark moon grass. You can climb back up right here, go to the poison. Let's see, return towards shortcut, double grass into the village, swing up and get all the loots out of reach. Right up, and this is right where we killed that shaman that poisoned us, and now we're just going to kind of loop around and get all of the goodies that were above and out of reach before. A couple more guys right over here. This is actually the boss fog for the area. This one first. this battle axe has really grown on me. It's got like a nice beefy moveset, you know? Swings fast, hits hard. For this one, just come here and then roll. Would land right on it. Oh, come on. Oh, whatever. This one we can grab. Hop up here. Grab. And that should wrap up all of the shinies in the village. So after that, just run back over to this platform and climb on out. I'm always not sure with the village because this place is such a mess with just like rotten wood and it's dark and you can't really see, but I believe that's everything. So I did miss one of the hidden ones. I apologize. Seeing anything at least. Oh, wait, that guy up there. Almost forgot about you. Gotta make it up to that one. Actually, I don't know if I got that one during the prep work. Let me see. Oh, this is actually kind of interesting. I don't know if I've ever been up to there. Looks like I even see another one. There's two. It looks like you could just walk up. Oh, here we go. Yep. All right, up top. Paintstone shard. I completely overlooked this part in the walkthrough. I think I stumbled into this in the Let's Play, actually. But somehow missed it during the walkthrough part. Paintstone stuff. All right, now we should have everything. Yes, okay. So how are we on time? Looking good. Time's getting a little bit tight, but we're good. Next we want to... No! Oh god, I slipped. Son of a bitch. Go back. Now we want to get back over into the swamp. Actually, we can go either way. We just need to get past the gate here to get out into the swamp. So either you can drop down or you can take the path going right now. The whole point is to just get back into the swamp. So this way. Alright, so head on out this way first. And out here at the island, there should be a lone slug. Go on and examine that, and that is the full gold set. Now this is typically one of the hardest parts of this area, but with the sodden ring, it's significantly easier. original game, the soldering ring wasn't a thing. I don't believe it was, at least. I'm pretty sure it was added with this, but no. Now that we have access to that, we're able to smashy. Okay, this one. And one more. And now you can pick up the stones that are waiting for us over here. All right, and that wraps up the swamp. Pick up some stones, got the slug, and now we're off to the fog gate. So to save some time, we're going to talk about it while we're running. But the upcoming boss we're about to fight is the Dirty Colossus, similar to the Leechmonger. It's a big old disgusting blobby guy. This guy is super duper weak to fire. So like if you have Firestorm, you can just walk up and one-shot him pretty much. I mean, that's really, it's not a hard boss. Like there's not much strategy here. He can swing his arms and slam you, but for the most part, you can just kind of ignore it and smash him instead. If he covers you with the bugs, you can approach a torch to burn them off, but to be honest, you'll probably kill him before that becomes a concern. I mean, even on the goofy-ass Let's Play build, we managed to slaughter this guy. He's kind of a joke boss. So yeah, he's going to die real fast. Besides that, his soul is used for Acid Cloud, which is a spell that we're going to need. I might not even use fire. I'm kind of... Oh, no, I will use fire. I'll use fire. Put on... where's it at? Where's my fire? There's my black pine resin. Weight looks... Can I fit some gloves in? I can. Beautiful. We don't need the... Well, there is one area in this fight where you could use the Sodden Ring, but we're going to kill him without worrying about that. Instead, we will acid and smash. I mean, that's really... It's not a hard boss. Like, there's not much strategy here. He can swing his arms and slam you, but for the most part, she'll probably just... He's kind of an Acid Cloud. Put on Acid Cloud. He's kind of... She'll prop it and smash. Now we're off to the fog gate. So to save some time, we're going to talk about it while we're running. But the upcoming boss we're about to fight is the Dirty Colossus, similar to the Leechmonger. It's a big old disgusting blobby guy. This guy is super duper weak to fire. So like if you have Firestorm, you can just walk up and one-shot him pretty much. I mean, that's really, it's not a hard boss. Like there's not much strategy here. He can swing his arms and slam you, but for the most part, you can just kind of ignore it and smash him instead. If he covers you with the bugs, you can approach a torch to burn them off, but to be honest, you'll probably kill him before that becomes a concern. I mean, even on the goofy-ass Let's Play build, we managed to slaughter this guy. He's kind of a joke boss. So yeah, he's going to die real fast. Besides that, his soul is used for Acid Cloud, which is a spell that we're going to need. I might not even use fire. I'm kind of... Oh, no, I will use fire. I'll use fire. Put on... where's it at? Where's my fire? There's my black pine resin. Weight looks... Can I fit some gloves in? I can. Beautiful. We don't need the... Well, there is one area in this fight where you could use the Sodden Ring, but We're going to kill him without worrying about that. Instead, we will go the cling ring here, get a little bit more health. Up our health off. We already have second chance active, I believe. Actually, it might have worn off, so we'll pop that. No, we're not worried about second chance. What am I talking about? Put this on. And we'll just smash this guy. I'll do a bug explosion like that. As you can see, we're just standing behind this guy and absolutely annihilating him. That's all the damage he was able to do. Okay, buddy, listen. If you're gonna be rude. If you're gonna act like this, I'm gonna have to punish you. I'm gonna have to put on new black pine resin. Stop that. This is the only part where you'd really need the sodden ring here. Otherwise, you just smash that guy. So a couple loots in the boss arena, though. We have grass near the entrance, pick up, and then a soul near the arc stone over here on the side. Now, as always, you're going to want to go and suicide. That. Run on over to the arc stone, get that soul, and head back to the Nexus. So, after this, we have one more boss, a couple trophies, and we're going to be getting access to pure black and white tendencies for this area. So stay tuned, and I will catch you soon with more. What is happening, y'all? Welcome on back. It's time to wrap up World 5. Before we do this, I suggest putting on a Ring of Avarice because we're not going to beat any real threat for this fight. And make sure you pick up plenty of arrows. You're going to need arrows for this boss. Not as many as I have. Probably, I want to say 50 arrows, 50 to 100. But for an achievement, we're going to need to kill this boss with a bow. Now, I know a lot of people don't like the cheesy bow kills, but hey, I'm here to get you your platinums. So go on down this ladder. Of course, make sure that you are in soul form. You don't want to be in body form. Pick up the Widow's Lotus. Down. Go on through. Now, for this encounter, what happens here is all that blood you see, it's filled with plague babies. So we don't want to go near that. And the way this works is when you approach Maiden Estrella, Garl Vinland will try to spread your butt cheeks. And you don't want Garl Vinland to spread your butt cheeks. You also need to kill her without hurting Garl Vinland. So to do that, we are going to go over here. We're going to clear out a couple of these guys. God, it's big. You can see him down there running around back and forth. As long as we're over here, he shouldn't make his way over to us. He should actually kind of go over there and try to defend her. You can see he's over there like, I'm the guardian, I'm standing. So what we need to do is we need to snipe Maiden Estrella and kill her before she manages to heal. So that glowy dot right out there, that's her. So just aim up a little bit above and fire. And if you're sure you hit her, just start spamming your arrows. And what's going to happen is she's going to cast miracles or as you can see, her health bar is going back up. So we need to do enough damage that we can outpace her healing, which is basically just spamming arrows. Now you can certainly go down there and try to fight your way past Garl, but if you want the achievement, you got to kill her without hurting Garl. Not to mention, this is easily the safest way to do this encounter because the plague babies, oh man, the plague babies are terrible. And we got her. So this is all we have on the Ring of Avarice, because she's going to die. We're going to get a ton of souls for killing her like that. Ring of Avarice will boost those souls. And there we go, beautiful, 28,000. So from here, we're actually going to warp right out of here. So go ahead and use it if you got it. Where's our arc stone at? There we go. Pop this. You can also use the back, of course. And that should get you the achievement for beating her without touching Garl. Now, we want to maintain this pure worldwide tendency. So, once again, suicide. Get back into soul flow. Now, no worries about her soul. It's going to be waiting right there for us to pick up when we get back. So, just doing this. Pick up our souls. We'll head back over that way. Her soul is actually for Vignon. Welcome on back. And it's time to knock out the rest of World 4. So, the Sword of Searching, which is typically a sword you keep in your offhand farm with that drastically improves loot rates. So, go for whichever you want first. Second chance is obviously the best choice for progression. But if you're trying to farm up very specific items, the Stone of Searching is really, really powerful as well. So there's a couple things in this arena as well. Legendary Soulful, Moongrass, Moonshard, and then Holy Arrows after the boss in the corner. Shadow's not a giant threat, but he will do Poison Cloud, so it's just easier to take his ass out now. Okay. I'll do a bug explosion like that. As you can see, we're just standing behind this guy and absolutely that's all the damage he was able to do. Okay, buddy, listen. If you're gonna be rude. Okay. If you're gonna act like this, I'm gonna have to punish you. I'm gonna have to put on new black pine resin. Stop that. This is the only part where you'd really need the Sodden Rain here, otherwise you just smash that guy. So a couple loots in the boss arena though. We have grass near the engine. Stop that. As you can see. I'll do a bug explosion like that. As you can see, we're just standing behind this guy and absolutely annihilating him. That's all the damage he was able to do. Okay, buddy, listen. If you're gonna be rude. If you're gonna act like this, I'm gonna have to punish you. I have to put on new black pine resin. Stop that. This is the only part where you'd really need the Sodden Rain here, otherwise you just smash that guy. So a couple loots in the boss arena though. We have grass near the entrance, pick up, and then a soul near the arc stone over here on the side. Now, as always, you're going to want to go and suicide. That. Run on over to the arc stone, get that soul, and head back to the Nexus. So, after this, we have one more boss, a couple trophies, and we're going to be getting access to pure black and white tendencies for this area. So stay tuned, and I will catch you soon with more. And suicide, and get back into soul form. What is happening, y'all? Welcome. I'm back, and in this episode, it's time to take care of the black events over in Boltaria in one quick go. So the fastest way to get the pure black tendency here, go to the gates of Boltaria and then run right off that cliff that's beyond the gate that we opened. That's the fastest suicide I found. But if you have the world at pure black, go ahead and warp over to Inner Ward. I obviously just did all the running off the cliff to save us some time. Now keep in mind, of course, since the world is pure black, enemies are going to be harder. But the first thing we want to do is make our way this way to get the primeval demon. We have to kill the doggo. I think my shockwave pushed it into those barrels. What is happening, y'all? Cowboy? What is happening, y'all? Welcome on back. So go for whichever you want first. Second chance is obviously the best choice for progression. But if you're trying to farm up too far, and I almost got myself killed, that would have been... What is happening, y'all? Welcome on back. What is happening, y'all? Welcome on back. It's time to wrap up World 5. Before we do this, I suggest putting on a... avarice because we're not going to beat any real for this fight. And make sure you pick up plenty of arrows. You're going to need arrows for this boss. Not as many as I have. Probably, I'd say this. I suggest putting on a ring of avarice because we're not going to beat any real threat for this fight. And make sure you pick up plenty of arrows. You're going to need arrows for this boss. Not as many as I have. Probably, I'd say 50 arrows is good, 50 to 100. But for an achievement, we're going to need to kill this boss with a bow. Now, I know a lot of people don't like the cheesy bow kills, but hey, I'm here to get you your platinums. So let's go on down this ladder. Of course, make sure that you are in soul form. You don't want to be in body form. Pick up the Widow's Lotus. Down. Go on through. Now, for this encounter, what happens here is all that blood you see, it's filled with plague babies. So we don't want to go near them. And the way this works is when you approach Maiden Estrella, Garl Vinland will try to spread your butt cheeks. And you don't want Garl Vinland to spread your butt cheeks. You also need to kill her without hurting Garl Vinland. So to do that, we are going to go over here. We're going to clear out a couple of these guys. Got it. You can see him down there running around back and forth. What is happening, y'all? Welcome. This way to get the pure black tendency here. Go to the gates of Boletaria and then run right off that cliff that's beyond the gate that we opened. That's the fastest suicide I found. But if you have the world at pure black, go ahead and warp over to Inner Ward. I obviously just did all the running off the cliff to save us some time. Now keep in mind, of course, since the world is pure black, enemies are going to be harder. But the first thing we want to do is make our way this way to get the primeval demon. Double doggo. I think my shockwave pushed it into those barrels. And thankfully the primeval demon is going to be pretty easy to get, but we're going to be aiming to get both the primeval demon as well as the phantom in one go. So it's going to be probably a pretty long episode here with lots of running. Boonga boonga. Go up this way. We're going to take this path up, and this will lead us to where we want to go. Nope. Went right over that accidentally. Now, obviously, the reason we're doing it this way is to save on our stones. We'd like to not have to use stones again. You can already see our big wiggly boy. I would still suggest killing the archers because we are on pure black and stuff hurts, so don't give them the chance. Got our colorless demon soul, got some grass from those guys. Which also, feel free to spend plenty of souls and patches. Like I said, we now have an infinite supply of grass via souls using patches as a merchant. So load up on all the grass you want. And now we need to make our way all the way back to the very start of this world without dying or warping. Now, similar to what we did with the previous worlds when we did this, if you do die, what is happening, y'all? Welcome, I'm back, and it's time to continue the walkthrough. So, tendency stuff here a little bit later. I kind of want to put things towards black, but a little bit risky to do it just yet. So we're going to wrap this episode up. The next episode, we're probably going to continue on and do 3-2 and 3-3. So stay tuned, and I will catch you all soon enough with that. All you're going to have to do is just re-suicide to get the world back down to pure black. This way. No, see, this one's not that bad, because since we've already killed the red dragon, we're able to just kind of haul ass across the bridge, and then we go right past the phalanx, and we're there, you know, so not too bad at all. Especially if you're playing strength build like we are, you're gonna go your way past all of these enemies. Moments like that make me love strength builds. And I think this only gets better from here as we get heavier and heavier, or more endurance, you know. We're going to be able to put on even thicker armor, and we just become an unstoppable force. Like a train that has no brakes. Kill. Manipulate. Heal. Guillotine. And that should, of course, form right back when I'm killing it. See? Appropriate and say yes, or if we were so tendency warped back up. Alda, Shiver, Lord Rydell, and that should be the 5 main Black Phantoms. We killed Maralda, Shiver, Lord Rydell, Satsuki, and Selin Vinland.
Oh, do you have further?
Despite that doesn't feel like pure white to me. Well, we will find out in just a moment. Of course, World Tendency has now warped back up in that Arcstone. I want to say we need to go higher. But so anyway, let's talk about character tendency. So while World Tendency is impacted when you go into a world and you die in body form, character tendency is a little bit different. Character tendency is typically based upon your interaction with other characters and other players. So if a Black Phantom invades your world and you defeat that, that is going to count as a boost towards white. Defeating the 5 unique NPC Black Phantoms that we killed: Executioner Maralda, Shriver back in 2, Rydell in 3, Satsuki in 4, and Selin Vinland in 5. Those also count as moving us towards white. On the other side, if we were to invade as a Black Phantom and kill the host of any world, that will move us towards black, on the other hand, as well as killing, NPCs. So killing any of the Dragon Merchant, the Filthy Man, the Mistress, Grave Robber Village, Filthy Woman, killing any of those will move us towards black. Killing the special named NPCs like Shriver in Act 2, or Blue Phantom, Lord Rydell, or Selin Vinland when we found her and traded with her. That will also move us towards black. But see if we're actually at pure white. If we're at pure white, we should get a ring talking to this guy.
If not, have you the strength?
Sure you say yes?
Yes. Now, the old one.
Alright, stop again and see if we can get the ring.
We neutralize the old one. And the short one.
Me.
Have you received a ship? And that is why
Give me my pure white. Yeah, so apparently we don't have pure white, which doesn't make sense because we've killed all the appropriate NPCs. I'm trying to think back through this walkthrough. I don't believe we killed anything that would have counted. Let's see. Let's go through the notes here. We didn't invade anybody. I'm trying to think, did I accidentally invade someone? I don't think I ever did. Force the old monk to summon you. That's not it. We haven't killed any NPCs. The only thing that in theory could have affected our character tendency would have been the kill on Yurt, but we gravitied Yurt off a cliff, so that should not have affected it. And I know the black phantoms that appear past Penetrator don't have an effect, and the ones in 2-1 don't have an effect. So, alright, well, and that gives us a couple options here, since we still do not have pure white. Basically, we either need to just kill an invader, or we need to kill an invader as a blue. So killing an invader as a blue is going to be a little bit easier, because we can join a host world and just wait for an invader to show up, versus just hanging out and waiting for one. But we will need to kill one to get pure white. So, to get our final notch here, we're going to help somebody kill a boss. And I did figure it out, so I was there after going back through everything involving character tendency. It turns out the reason we're not pure white is because we put the Black Phantom Shriver off the cliff. To be fair, the guy has regen on and everything else. It's kind of a pain in the ass to kill. But yes, that is the one we're missing. So technically we are at only 4 kills and we need 1 more. Now, if you had killed the old monk while the old monk was a player, that will actually, you'll already be a pure white, because that counts as defeating an invader. If you're not able to do that, though, such as in my case, where we fortunately killed the offline version of the old monk, you'll need to kill 1 invader. Now, the easiest way to do this, without having someone come into your world, is of course getting summoned as a blue and knocking out an invader. I kept putting my blue summon sign down here because this guarantees, almost guarantees we're going to fight an invader. This is a very invasion-heavy hotspot. I do want to note that putting your blue sign down here can actually get you summoned as the boss yourself. So if that is the case, when the text pops up, you'll either say you're being summoned or you're being summoned as a Black Phantom. If you get the you're being summoned as a Black Phantom text, just make sure to use your white soapstone and warp out of the world, because killing another player as the boss in this fight will shift your character tendency towards black, and we don't want to do that just yet. We need to get pure white before we go down to pure black. So now all this really comes down to is whether or not I get to kill on this one. Because that's another important part here is if the other player, if the host is the one that kills the Phantom, I won't actually get the character tendency here. We have to be the one who gets the killing blow on the Phantom. So to help do this, we're going to pop Hidden Soul. I don't think the old monk will know I'm coming in. Let's see. Oh no, he sees us. Better turn around and look at that host, buddy. Ah, why are you focusing me? Holy shit, he was on my dick. There we go. And that was the final blow. Looking up at the icon in the top left, you can now see it is extra shiny, and that indicates we have pure white character tendency. So, just to show exactly what I did here, because, like I said, very high rate of invaders, just right at this spot, just use the blue eye stone. If you happen to get warped in as a black phantom, use the white eye stone to warp out. But now that we have pure white character tendency, let's go ahead and get rid of our body form real fast here. We can do a couple things. The first is we can talk to the Monumental and get the friend ring, which the friend ring is going to increase the damage we can do when we are playing as a blue phantom. So if you're somebody that likes doing co-op and you like having, you like helping people or just playing with a friend or whatever, the friend ring is very, very potent for that. In fact, it's like a 20% damage increase, and it affects all damage types. So miracle, physical, magic. Basically, if you were going to do something and hit 4,000 damage, you're hitting for 1,200 once you get this ring. Assuming you have the ring equipped, of course. Now, with that in mind, a big advantage of being pure white character tendency is our attack power in general is also going to be increased. At pure white, while we're in soul form, which is, not body form, your attack power is going to increase by 10%, and then it'll go up to 20% at pure white. So as long as our character tendency stays at pure white, we just have a flat increase to our attack power. And in the original, at least, this buff also stacked with world tendency as well. Now, like I said, killing NPCs or invading players will bring this number down. It's the allies ring. And I want to point that out because if you are somebody that doesn't like invading, if you're never going to do PvP whatsoever, and you don't care for it, you may not want to lose pure white tendency. Having pure white tendency it's very easy to maintain too, as long as you don't go around murdering NPCs like a murder hobo or invading players, your character tendency won't drop. So you're set. So now that we have that ring, which we did need for the trophy, we are going to have to get to pure black. Now, the reason we have to go to pure black is similar to the friendship ring. There is also a ring that we can get at pure black called the foes ring. And just how the friendship ring or the ally ring is going to boost damage as a blue phantom, the other ring will boost damage as an invader. So I want you to really think about this because it may be easier for you to just use a second character and make that your PvP character and get pure black on. If you're strictly concerned with just, hey, I want to get this done. I just want this ring. I want to get the platinum trophy. I'm not worried about it. Then, we can go ahead and start killing NPCs. So, we'll kill this guy to start. You'll notice upon killing this guy, we're immediately, oh my god, is he gonna actually kill me? There's no way. Oh my goodness, what is this? You're not even that strong, die. You'll notice immediately we are no longer pure white. So we can kill him. Don't kill these two. These two are nice to keep alive. We can kill this lady.
Nice.
So remember, this is the one that would give you the pure faint stone at 20. Go on and kill this guy. Now you could get this by invading players as well. So if you wanted to invade and beat people up, you could certainly go and do that. This is just the easier way to do it. We're going through and we're killing all the less important NPCs. Kill Freak's Apprentice. And we'll actually have quests to kill them, so we don't want to kill Yuria just yet. Let me pull up my list for who exactly we kill, because we're gonna have her skip a couple of the quest lines for us here. So for the Mistopheles chain, let's see, Urbane and Freak we can kill now. So killing them would certainly get us to where we need to go. But keep in mind that if you kill him now, you're not going to have access to any of this other stuff. So just keep that in mind. If you're ready to kill him, if you're like, you know what, I don't need Sage Freak, go ahead, give him the boot. If you stay on the full set. And it looks like that was enough. So looking up top, you can see we now have the red sparklies. And we are now at pure black character tendency. So now what we're going to do is just hit evacuate. This is just going to refresh the Nexus. Now, if we run up here, there'll be a new NPC waiting for us.
I know perhaps you will really have a reason.
So she basically wants you to kill a bunch of NPCs. Any of the NPCs that are already dead, we'll just skip that quest. But in particular, she wants you to kill Saint Urbane and his followers, Sage Freak and his apprentice, Patches, Bjor, Strava, and then Yuria. So this is very much like before you're wrapping up the game. If you want to, keep in mind that once you kill this guy similar to Sage Freak, you're not going to be able to change out the things you have on. So right now I have Hidden Soul and Evacuate. I'm going to just have those, and I won't be able to have Second Chance on. Alternatively, I can we'll drop these off and we'll put Second Chance on just because that's more useful in general. Gotta give him the boot. Oh, damn it. There we go. Also get the Saint set in the ring. Now, because we've already killed quite a few of the NPCs, we're actually going to be able to skip a fair amount of her chain. She would tell us to kill Sage Freak. Since he's already dead, we're not going to have to worry about that. In fact, we can just progress it on up. So Patches is going to be the target, and then Bjor is going to be the target. Before we kill Patches, since we don't have Evacuate anymore, I'm going to pick up 4 Arcstones here. In a similar fashion, if you need grass, this is going to be your last chance to pick up grass if you're going to kill Patches. Oh, no, I fucked up. Never mind. We weren't supposed to kill Patches yet. Damn it. Well, that's okay. So don't kill Patches yet. Talk to her first, and then she'll tell you to kill Patches. I forgot that we need to talk to her between each murder to get the reward. Damn it. Well, that's okay. So don't kill Patches yet. Talk to her first, and then she'll tell you to kill Patches. I forgot that we need to talk to her between each murder to get the reward. So we'll talk to her. So it is done. Here's your reward. Take it. We get a stone for Freak. We get a stone for Urbane.
I want you to kill.
Now she wants us to kill Boar. I accept the offer. If we had talked to her before patches, which I can't believe I completely forgot that, we would have gotten a colorless demon soul. So one colorless demon soul short, but that's okay. We're gonna kill Bjor. He would typically help with the dragon in 1-4, but there's nothing for killing that dragon. Obviously, the ring upgrade strength full set for murdering him. Got the colorless demon soul. Now, the next person of the quest is going to be Ostrava, but Ostrava is actually going to die on his own in the next zone as part of his chain. So we don't need to worry about killing Ostrava. However, after we go ahead and, well, basically we're going to go into the next mission. We're going to go into an area. Ostrava will be dead. We'll come back. We'll talk to her. She'll ask us to kill Yuria. After we kill Yuria, we'll get access to the foes ring. So, yeah, that is that. Now, obviously, like I said, you may want to save and do this stuff on a different character. Being in a pure black character tendency in particular, you have less health in soul form. Your soul form health is 45%. On top of that, we're kind of just like the bad guy, so we can't have access to, I believe we can use Demon Brand, but not Soul Brand, but we're going to combine those into Northern Regalia anyway, so it's not a giant concern. But anyway, moving on from here, we are going to hop over. We're going to do everything we can in 5-1, like our last minute prep type stuff. We'll come back, we'll finish that chain to get the ring, then we're going to beat the boss and wrap the game up. So stay tuned, and I will catch you all soon enough as we continue. What is happening, y'all? Welcome back to what should be the final episode of the walkthrough. So, from here, head on over, King's Tower, on the 5, the final zone. Now, we're actually going to be fighting our whole way through this zone, and then warping out before the final boss, because it is the last chance you will have to really do anything before you are forced into New Game Plus. So, run up and donk these dudes on top of the dragon. The crystal lizard up ahead started getting away, but don't worry about that. You can always just go ahead and reset the floor to farm them. It's goodies. Now these black phantoms ahead, they have no effect on character tendency whatsoever. They also respawn once. First thing to do is just sorry, going back to 3 slots. If you want to separate them, one will drop the drinks, one will drop the rainbow, one will drop the towers. That's okay. We got the white bow earlier, so we don't really need two of them. But over here to grab this stone, and then over this way, there's going to be a crystal lizard course. Now this next part, I want you guys to walk in and then roll right out. There's a red knight, and we're just luring him out, because there's also a bunch of archers and stuff that we don't want to deal with. Right, now sprint up. And assassin came out fast. There we go. And the Claymore Knight is already here, I see. Boys, sure can pack a punch. Nothing a good old donk can't handle. Head on up to the top. If you want, we can go over here to grab the final piece of the Blue Eye Knight gear. This is a shortcut we're going to get open a little bit later. And now come out here just a little bit. That'll spawn the dragon. Blue dragon's going to come down. And we want to walk out here and get angry, and then just back up. You can see it'll pretty much just take care of Fatty for us. Other Fatty in the back, we want to lure him over here too. We want the dragon to just torch them both for us. Save us, make our trip a little bit easier. Fight smarter, not harder, right? Now, as we run past here, there is going to be a storied warrior soul that's on the ground. It's only worth 2,000 souls, so I would suggest you just skip past it. Obviously, those bodies is grass, but that's the storied warrior soul. Honestly, it's not worth it, because you're going to get hit by that dragon trying to pick it up, and then if you die, you're going to be very upset. But you're going to have to fight past all the shit we already fought past. After doing that, we'll go this way. Dragon's going to leave, that's fine. I'm going to run down here and grab this and send a stash. That's our Knight Shield and Sword. We're going to go over here and hit this, and that'll open the shortcut. So now we basically just skip the first part of the dragon. Now you can try and go down there and get that loot. The thing is, the dragon will change position. So even if I'm like, oh, you know what? I think I want to go grab that grass real fast. Just running back here, he should swoop in and try to attack us. Yep, and there he goes. So as for, well, we'll get past the dragon first. As for this blue dragon in particular, some people are saying Drake, the game calls it the blue dragon, so I'm calling it the blue dragon. We are not actually going to kill it. Now, the reason I say this is, while we certainly can kill it, killing the dragon is a pain in the ass. This thing has a ton of health, and in terms of souls, it's only going to be worth 60,000 souls. We'll get 30,000 souls for killing the dragon, and we will get 30,000 for killing it, and then we'll get 30,000 from its soul consumable. So if you want to sit up here and snipe the dragon forever, that's on you. it just takes a long ass time to kill. Just to kind of show. Oh my god. No. Pain in the ass. So there's a couple spots you can hit it from. I think we actually, the best spot is down at the bottom where we were safe. But because you can't like aim straight up, it's hard to get a good angle on this guy. You don't get anything for it besides souls. You don't get an achievement for it either. So with that in mind, I would suggest just not bothering with the dragon. Talk to Ostrava here. He is going to die. After he dies, he's going to give us the mausoleum key. I mean, that's 60,000 souls. That's like, at Black Tendency, that's like 7 runs on the Reaper, which take no time at all. If we go ahead, as you can see, that is Ostrava. Now it's a Black Phantom. Go ahead and pop him off. He will drop the Rune Sword and Shield, which we already had access to that anyway, so not really a concern. Over here, stone, I believe that's it. Mausoleum key, swing around for the eye, up ahead. Okay, and at this point, if we continue ahead, the final boss, and that is the end of the game. So instead, we are going to warp out because there's some stuff that we need to do. Now, Demon Souls being the more traditional Souls type, as soon as you kill the final boss, from there, we're basically stuck on a path that's going to lead us directly into New Game Plus. We won't be able to level up. So go on and talk to her to get those final levels. The last thing we want to do is, now that we got the key from Ostrava, we're going to hop over here and we need to fight the Old King. King Doran. Now, Old King Doran can be pretty tricky to kill, to be honest. He is very, very tanky. One of the tankier NPCs in the game. The guy just has a massive health pool. And he's kind of hard to kill, so I'm gonna be discussing some strategies that I have had success with. And honestly, this setup does so much damage, we might be able to just bonk the shit out of him. Another thing, on the note of colorless demon souls, obviously the most important thing if you're playing strength, upgrading the Dragon Bone Smasher. You need 3 of them to get a spell from Urbane, which you may or may not want depending on what save you're on. Obviously, you're going to need that for the All Spells achievement. But if you're not sure what else to spend them on, I suggest the you may or may not want depending on the note of colorless demon souls. Obviously, the most important thing if you're playing strength, upgrading the Dragon Bone Smasher. You need 3 of them to get a spell from Urbane, which you may or may not want depending on what save you're on. Obviously, you're going to need that for the All Spells achievement. But if you're not sure what else to spend them on, I suggest the Adjudicator Shield. As we level that up, the HP regen on it goes higher. So now the Adjudicator Shield, I'm getting 6 health per second from it. As you can see, my health is ticking up pretty quickly. So just nice quality of life. Max level would be 8 health per second, but unfortunately I was a little trigger happy and I murdered Patches before I talked to Mustopheles. So that will not be happening. At least not until New Game Plus. Which, on the note of New Game Plus, whatever your world or your character tendencies are at when you beat the game, those are all going to carry over. So when I, like right now, if I was to beat the final boss and go, my Stone Fang would still be pure black, Boletaria would still be just barely under pure white, Tower is kind of neutral, and the others are slightly neutral. Valley's a little bit higher. But anyway, open this up.
Seekers touching his soul. I am the old king. Show me thy strength and the power of thy soul.
So this guy's no joke. So we're getting loaded up here.
Prepare thyself, brave knight.
As you can see, our giant sword, our Donkmeister, is doing almost nothing to this guy. He should be pretty passive though, more just like a damage test here. So after you have dealt enough, we need to get rid of some stuff. Some storage. Go ahead and remove the sword now. That's the demon brand. And he's going to just kind of follow us for a bit here. There we go. Now, we can kill him and get access to his ring as well as the armor that he has on. And we do want to do that. His ring in particular is a very, very nice ring to have. So we're just going to keep attacking him. And at around 50%, he should start fighting back. Alright, so now that we have a lock on, he's angry. And now we're going to kite him over to an area where he'll get stuck. Now in testing, he used to get stuck here a lot in the original. He still seems to get stuck here. But if you can manage to get him to not stay stuck, you could of course go for a gravity kill on his ass. Come on. So shortly after that, he actually ended up healing, and then frustrated with the fact that he obviously healed, I decided we were just going to do the backstrap strat. A big part of the backstrap strat, what is happening now? Welcome back to the final part of the walkthrough for Demon Souls. So if you've been following along up until now, you should only be missing a couple of trophies. But real fast, we're going to get the co-op trophy and talk about what is still left. Most of these are just going to be boss trophies. You should have done all this stuff already. Help a player vanquish boss, that's the co-op trophy, kind of obvious. We have the one PvP trophy. All the special ones we should have already gotten. So killing the Tower Knight without hitting the archers, fighting the penetrate with Bjorn, killing Dread God with the fists, the roll tricks, only attacking the proper fool's idol, build the agitator staying up top, killing Bait and Stray without killing Garl. This is going to be a final game trophy. But Sage Freak, Singer Bane, we did the Makoto to Satsuki quest, we did the Siri Demon Soul, we got Mr. Rayleigh, we got Yuri the Witch, and we're about to get you the Galley. Now, the three that are left are the Sages, Saints Trophy, and King of Rings. Now for the Saints Trophy, if you just buy off everything Urbane has, that should bring you to 11 out of 12. The final one I'm missing is the one we need 3 colors Demon Souls for. I wanted to upgrade my shield this playthrough. That would have wrapped up that trophy. Now, as for King of Rings, we are missing 2 rings at this point on this line. We also have the Sage Trophy, but that's the same as the Saints. You just have to go over that yourselves. I actually suggest you put a match here because this match is now, for the final 2 rings, 2 rings in particular. Ring. We're going to go to Tunnel City. We farm the first one. And the very first thing you need is any of the fat dudes. I find this one to be the easiest to farm, and I'll show you why. But we're going to be able to run right down to the guy over here. We're going to lower the elevator, and then use this as a kill and suicide type technique. So now I'm not going to actually farm this guy all the way until he drops it. That would take who knows how long. Oh no, please don't. Not this. So just keep killing this guy, and we're going to actually do the elevator and get off. I'll wait for this to go a little bit until it's at lethal. Now you can kill any of the fat fishes. It doesn't have to be that fat fish in particular. But because we have this drop right here, I find this to be one of the easier ones to farm to get when it can be.
My life on gamble, just like rolling dice. And it's like so fast, you get down at night. I pour it in the song. I'm all so on. Got me out of form. All this is good over. These niggas on the niggas ain't on me. All I do know, I won't got no rubber. Rolling my 40. We taking his 40.
years of online learning that they endured under this governor's policies.
Governor, you've been in office for 4 years now. Harry Truman said the buck stopped at your desk. You've had 4 years to try to fix education in this state. Why is it not where you would want it to go at least 4 years ago where you said you wanted to go?
We've also had some historic challenges over the last few years, I think, to put it lightly. You know, Mrs. Dixon says that I kept students out longer than any other state. That's just not true. I worked closely with my Republican and Democratic governors, and kids were out for 3 months. The fact of the matter is, education is what levels the playing field for people, and we've underinvested in it for decades. We got the biggest investment in public education done in a bipartisan way to support teachers, to bring down class sizes, to wrap our kids with supports like mental health supports, tutors, and literacy coaches, making class sizes smaller. This is how we improve outcomes. But it's only been a couple years, and we've had a pandemic to navigate. The reason kids were out of school during the pandemic was because we were working off of knowledge from 1918, when kids died from the last global pandemic. As a mom, all I was thinking about was saving the lives of our kids.
Stacey, you have a rebuttal?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just heard an audible gasp around town when Gretchen Whitmer said that kids were out of school for 3 months. Perhaps she wasn't paying attention to what was actually happening. We even had schools that were closed this year. This is shocking to me that she thinks that schools were only closed for 3 months, or maybe she thinks she can convince you that schools were only closed for 3 months, but you know better because your students are the ones that are desperately behind. And the test scores show that she's being dishonest about this. She's being dishonest about even trying to get into these schools, to get these schools back on track.
Governor.
Well, that's just not true. But what I will say is we have made a historic investment, and that's precisely how we laid the groundwork to get to Michigan being a top 10 state for literacy. That is the goal that we all have to get behind. The problem is, if Mrs. Dixon is elected, she and her biggest funder, Betsy DeVos, will be writing the education budget. And their plan is to take $500 million out of our public school system. You want to get kids to top 10 literacy, draining the school aid fund of resources is not going to get us there.
All right, thanks, Chuck. So, candidates, we continue to see violence in our schools. Just this week, the alleged Oxford shooter pled guilty. And we've heard talk of hardening our schools. So what does that mean to you? And can you describe what it will look like in practice? Governor Whitmer, we'll start with you.
Well, listen, I got to tell you, as a former prosecutor who ran exercises with our police departments for active shooter, it's horrible to see what happened in Oxford and what plays out in this country every single day. As a mom, I am furious that in this country, and only this country, guns are the #1 killer of our children. I support secure storage. I support red flag laws. I support background checks. When Mrs. Dixon was asked, do you support secure storage, which was what Oxford families were asking for, she said, I don't know what it is. She supports more guns in schools, making them not gun-free zones. Her plans are downright dangerous. In the same month that the Oxford shooting happened, she posted a picture of herself with a gun and the caption saying, gun control means using both hands. She might think this is a joke, but I think there's nothing funny about it.
Thank you, Governor. Mrs. Dixon.
How manipulative to comment on a post that I made 29 days before the shooting even occurred, but that's what we expect when we talk to Gretchen Whitmer, right? Let me be clear about something. What's happening in our schools when we have a school shooting is devastating. I have 4 daughters that are in school-age daughters that I am concerned about every single day. Our state police came out with a safe schools plan in 2018 to harden our schools. You asked what that looks like. I would like to have armed security at our schools. I would like to make sure that we have a one entry point. I would also like to implement some of that plan that talks about how to identify a child that struggles with mental health, that might be considering self-harm or harming someone else. This is something that we just heard the Department of Ed say that they wouldn't even tell parents about, and Gretchen Whitmer has been silent. We need an Office of Safe Schools, like states like Florida have, to make sure that this is a top priority. And if we had implemented the 2018 report from the state police, we might have saved lives.
Governor?
There was a school shooting in Missouri yesterday in a district that had exactly what she just described. One place of entry, armed guards in the school district, and people are dead. We've been trying that for 30 years. It's not working. It is time to try proven policies, background checks, secure storage, red flag laws. I'm not talking about hunting. I'm just trying to keep our kids and communities safe. Ask yourself, who's going to keep your kids safe? The former prosecutor with plans or the candidate with thoughts and prayers? Mrs. Dixon?
And yet she's been governor for 4 years. In fact, she's been a career politician for 20, and she hasn't seemed to come up with an answer for this yet. Her concern is taking guns away from law-abiding citizens. I want to make sure that our kids are safe. I don't want our kids in a sitting duck zone where the only person that has a weapon is the shooter that is going in to take their lives. I want to make sure we are as safe as possible in the state of Michigan. And as a mom, I think you can rely on me to make sure it happens.
Thank you both. Doug? Let's talk about libraries, if we could, school and public. We've had a lot of efforts across the state, across the nation for that matter, to ban access to certain books, again, at public and school libraries, a lot of them having to do with titles including LGBTQ issues, the Holocaust, etc. As governor, how do you make sure that kids have access to that inclusive literature who might be seeking it, while also making sure that parents and teachers feel heard on the issue? And I'll add that this has real-life implications. We've had villages fail, and in my hometown of Grand Rapids, we've had libraries say that they are in danger of closing because people are voting against villages based on these issues. So again, I would ask you, Mrs. Dixon, what do you do as governor? How do you handle this?
Yeah, what I've heard from parents across the state is inappropriate content in school libraries. That's the biggest concern that I'm hearing about. And we're talking about sexual content. We're talking about pornography in schools. Parents have risen up across the state. They've asked Gretchen Whitmer to comment, and she's been silent on this issue. So I'm anxious to hear what she has to say. If you have material in your school that is something that you can't read to a child at a bus stop because you would be arrested because it is pornographic, then it should not be in our classrooms. What these parents are talking about are not textbooks that will help children learn about themselves. These are books that are describing to children how to have sex, and parents are outraged about it across the state. I stand with those parents that want to make sure we go back to the basics of reading, writing, and math in our schools.
Thank you, Mrs. Dixon. Governor?
Yes, so let me start with this. As a public school parent, I know that we have rights to understand the curriculum, the materials, to opt our children out if we think that it doesn't keep in line with our desires in terms of what they are learning. Also, parents can attend parent-teacher conferences, take part in the debate that is happening, and these are happening at the local level, where they should be, so that parents can be involved. We also have a duty to make sure that all children feel accepted and safe and can learn and play when they are in school. I reject the false choice that it has to be one or the other. But I'll also tell you this, it's with a really heavy heart that I see politicians try to wedge communities against one another. It is dangerous and it is selfish. Mrs. Dixon hosted someone on her show that said Martin Luther King Jr. shouldn't be in our history books. This is what we're talking about. We need to bring down the temperature and solve the problems to make sure parents are involved and students feel comfortable, and we're giving them a robust education.
30 seconds, Mrs. Dixon.
Well, I guess we've received the answer now that she is not going to stand with parents on this issue who are crying out across the state. In fact, I had a gentleman come up to me just a few nights ago, and he said, I found content in my school library describing how to have sex to my son. I went to the Democrats and I said, I cannot believe that this is in there. And they said, you are no longer a part of our party. He said, just a few weeks ago, not only was I a Democrat, but I was running for office as a Democrat. He said, because Democrats won't stand up for our children and go back to the basics, I'm leaving the Democrat Party.
Governor, do you really think books are more dangerous than guns? Like, do you really think that books pose a greater danger to our kids than gun violence does? Mrs. Dixon is trying to distract us. She's trying to divert attention from the fact that she is bankrolled by Betsy DeVos. She has endorsed Betsy DeVos's plan to drain $500 million out of our public schools, and that's why she's waging these fights. We have to protect our kids.
Governor, 4 years ago, you won election, mainly because of a phrase that you used that said, fix the damn roads. We know that there's construction going on because everywhere we go, we see orange barrels. My question is, are we building better roads, or are we just putting Band-Aids on a cancerous infrastructure?
Well, I love talking about the roads. The reason I focus on the roads is because when you have a busted rim, it can be money out of rent. It can be money out of childcare. And that's why fixing the damn roads has been so important. Let's be clear. We are addressing decades of disinvestment. We've already rebuilt 13,000 lane miles, 900 bridges. There are orange cones and barrels all over the state because we are fixing the roads. The fact of the matter is, this is a huge issue for our economy, our personal safety. It is so crucial that we continue this work. But it's all in jeopardy. As we think about what's Michigan going to look like 4, 8, 12 years down the road, we have to have solid infrastructure. But with plans to cut $12 billion out of the general fund and no plan to replace it, that will set us back in terms of rebuilding infrastructure back to decades of disinvestment. It'll mean money out of public safety and out of our kids' education. We can't afford to have that kind of leadership.
Governor, really very quick follow-up. Yes or no? Are we using better materials?
We are. We're using the right mix and materials. And as you can see, when you're driving by, we're taking the roads all the way down to gravel and rebuilding them. They're built to last. It's not just papering over like, unfortunately, has been done for years in the state prior to me taking office.
All right. Mrs. Dixon, if elected the next governor of this state, will you continue what we see going on with the construction of our roads, or will you change the process in any way, shape, or form?
We will work to make sure that there actually is a plan for the roads. She stood on the debate stage 4 years ago and said she had a plan, but let's remember, there was no plan. The plan was to raise the gas tax by 45 cents a gallon, and you would be paying $5 a gallon for gas right now. That obviously didn't work. And then when she was given road funding by the legislature because she didn't get her gas tax increase, she vetoed it. She had a lot of vetoes at that time, also vetoed autism funding for families. This was a tantrum because she didn't get her road funding. We want to make sure that it is a priority. And think about this. If it were a priority back then when she stood on this debate stage, in the 4 years, the budget increased by nearly $20 billion. You would have thought that she would be able to find road funding in that time to actually fix the roads instead of just throwing a bunch of orange barrels out before the next election.
Governor, your rebuttal.
So listen, I'm not even going to respond to all of that. I'm going to tell you this. We are going to continue to fix the damn roads, rebuilding this state. What's up next is Miller Road Bridge. What's up next is Mound Road, 696, 275. These are important arteries in this part of the state that you will see work being done. We need to continue this. It doesn't end. Unfortunately, we have to continue to rebuild infrastructure, but we're making headway, and we got to put our foot on the gas.
Ms. Dixon.
People are wondering when the road from their house to work will be fixed. When will that be a priority? Because it's absolutely true that a broken rim is devastating. I know because I had one this year. In fact, I've had 5 flat tires on these roads. They are a total disaster, and they're costing the people of Michigan $5,000 a year in road repairs. So if this is how she fixes the roads, well, I guess we can look back at her other promises too. What were they? Transparency, clean water, fixing the roads? Failures.
All right, in this same infrastructure vein, starting with you, Mrs. Dixon, I'm curious, how will you improve internet infrastructure and access, especially up in the UP? I hope to hear a concrete plan.
Yeah, it's critical for us to work with our private sector to expand these projects across the state of Michigan. And in fact, once we do that, we will see the economic development that we so desperately need. Right now, not only are our children suffering because we don't have broadband, especially during a time when they were kept at home for online learning, which is why so many of our kids are so far behind, but even our farmers are suffering because they don't have access to broadband. So I will partner with our broadband companies and talk to them about how they can expand. In fact, One of the great things about the tunnel that will be built for Line 5 is that we can also run broadband access through that tunnel and make sure that we can expand our access into the Upper Peninsula. And I will make sure to take advantage of that tunnel that will be gifted to the state of Michigan.
Governor, I got to tell you, I am so grateful that the Chamber of Commerce for Northern Michigan has endorsed my candidacy. This is because we've been working closely to make sure that we created an Office of Rural Development. We created an office specifically about increasing broadband access. 23,000 homes have already been added online. Now, what we can't afford is someone who's going to take political pot shots instead of roll up their sleeves and solve the problems. When the Infrastructure and Jobs Act passed, Mrs. Dixon called it fake. She snubbed her nose at it because she doesn't like the guy in the White House. We need a governor who's not going to score political points, but roll up their sleeves and get things done. $10 billion is coming into Michigan. We are going to deploy those resources to make sure that we get everyone connected. We're making progress, and there's more good work to do. We got to continue the work and not play political games. I will fight for every dime to come into the state of Michigan so I can make your life better. Mrs. Dixon?
You should be careful of where all of your dimes go if Gretchen Whitmer is in charge, because she just offered $715 million of your taxpayer dollars to a Chinese corporation to come to the state of Michigan. So she can tell you all she wants that she is improving economic development and keeping automotive jobs here. But we're hearing that battery plants are going outside of Michigan unless they're owned by the Chinese and have strong ties to the Chinese Communist Party. Your taxpayer dollars are not safe with Gretchen Whitmer.
Governor? There was a lot to take in on that one. I'll say this. We are making historic progress when it comes to economic development. Whether it's Goshen that is changing Big Rapids and building long-range batteries, or Our Next Energy, or Magna that we announced today. Mrs. Dixon has worked against economic development incentives that I worked in a bipartisan way to get done. If she was governor, none of those projects would be happening. We cannot unilaterally disarm and think we're going to build an economy of the future. We have to run fast and win.
Thank you both. Doug?
You know, we got another question that we got quite a bit of submissions on was on no-fault auto insurance. People like Maureen Howell, whose son was involved in a catastrophic crash, wanted to know what exactly would be done to help these 18,000 survivors. Governor, of course, you know, those benefits were taken away during your administration. So how do we provide access to care for these folks?
So let me start with this. Michigan has had historically the highest insurance rates in the country. We worked with the Republicans in the legislature to give Michigan residents some choices. Give consumers the ability to pick what level of insurance they want, like happens in other states. Now, people can make that choice, and we've seen rates come down. And we also know that this has helped drivers drive insured, where people weren't buying the insurance previously. There also is a group of people who have been injured, especially those pre this law, who we need to ensure get the care they contracted for at the rate so that they can actually get those services. There's been a lawsuit. We know that this case is still in front of the court, but I've been trying to reach out to the legislature to help make sure that we address those rates and ensure that rates are being paid on time.
And Mrs. Dixon, if you are elected, these folks would be looking to you for this help. What would you do?
I agree that we had insurance rates that were way too high, and that we had people in Detroit that couldn't even get insurance for their car, and they were paying thousands of dollars just to drive every month. That was devastating. Sometimes legislation has unintended consequences. We've seen that with this legislation. In fact, the governor knew that there was going to be a lawsuit when she decided to give away the catastrophic injury fund and give $400 checks back to everybody in Michigan, even though these people were desperate to find out how they would continue to get care. Now that the lawsuit has gone through, you're going to get a bill for $48 because she gave you those checks just a little too soon. And we have to make sure we take care of those people who had that contract to make sure their lives are the same quality as they were before.
Governor, Mrs. Dixon is showing you how well prepared she is for this job. The governor doesn't decide for the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association what the checks are going to be.
Mrs. Dixon.
I'm glad she admitted that because her commercials are constantly saying that she gave $400 checks back to everyone. So I'm glad she's admitting that those checks didn't come from her and she actually isn't putting money back into the pockets of the Michigan people.
Thank you both.
Mrs. Dixon, next question goes to you. I'm going to try to take this in a slightly different direction, and perhaps you might not need rebuttals on this. In the interest of civility, and certainly something that Governor Milligan, the longest serving governor of this state, talked about, I want to ask you to encourage the best and the brightest to enter the field of public service. What can you say positive about your opponent and the political party that she represents?
My opponent always talks about her daughters. And as a mom of girls, I think that's so important to come out and encourage your daughters and love your daughters. She has also made sure she's fought for women, and I love that about her. I think that we can continue that tradition and make sure we take care of women and make sure women are protected in the state. It's so important.
Governor, same question.
I would have said something very similar, actually. I know how hard it is to run for office and to raise kids. And so my hat's off to anyone who's willing to do it. I think moms' voices are important. We obviously have very different perspectives. All moms are not the same. But I appreciate how difficult it is and applaud any woman who is willing to put herself out there, at the same time balance all of the different pressures that we working moms have.
Would you like a rebuttal? I didn't think so. All right. Elle?
All right, changing gears a little bit. So we had one epidemic that was sort of eclipsed by the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm curious how you'll address the opioid crisis here in Michigan. So starting with Governor Whitmer, how can you address the influx of fentanyl with the ongoing opioid crisis here in our state?
Well, let me start with this. You know, I often talk about my own mother who died of brain cancer right after my first daughter was born. I was in that sandwich generation where I was taking care of two different generations of my family. And I know how hard that was. And that's why I've worked so hard to expand access to health care. Worked with my predecessor, Rick Snyder. When I was in the Senate, we got Medicaid expansion done. And today, 1 million more people have health care because of that work. There's no question that we have got an opioid crisis in this country. It was a greedy pharmaceutical company that buffaloed the people of this country and has created a lot of addicts. That's why the resources that we are putting into addiction treatment, the resources that we are putting into ensuring more people have access to health care is so incredibly important. This is a space where we've got more good work to do, but we are making progress.
Mrs. Dixon?
Well, we've seen a massive increase in overdoses. 2021 was the highest number we've ever seen. And we can directly correlate this to the Whitmer-Biden policies of having an open border. We know that drugs are pouring across our border every day. We've seen overdoses rise since this administration took office. It's been devastating, and that's why I've presented my Safe State plan to put $1 billion new dollars into policing, to make sure we have enough police on the streets. I just went to the Oakland County Crime Lab the other day. The woman there was testing two giant blocks of cocaine, and then she pulled out one of fentanyl. I said, "Where did that come from?" And she told me it had come from just down the street in Pontiac at a house. I asked her how many people that fentanyl could kill, and she said millions. If we had more officers on the streets, we could be preventing a lot more overdose deaths. I want to make sure that we have the backs of our cops, and we invest in our cops, and we make sure that they have what they need to fight this horrible scourge on our country.
Governor Whitmer, if you'd like a rebuttal, I'm also curious if you'd expand things like access to Narcan or anything else to address the problem tomorrow.
Absolutely. So I think one of the big things that we haven't yet talked about but need to is about crime. We know that our police put their lives on the line every single day. I, as governor, have made too many phone calls, attended too many funerals, and that's why I have delivered over $1 billion more for law enforcement. of Michigan to recruit, to train, to make sure they've got the wraparound support so that they can do their job. It is a hard job. This is, I think, one of the most important things that we haven't really yet talked about. Thank you, Governor. Mrs. Dixon, Narcan?
Narcan is obviously very important, and we have seen that we have our Walmart pharmacies that distribute it a few times a year, and it's also our police officers have it around the state. But I think it's very important to know that it's not just about going out and having cops on the street. It's also about taking care of our corrections officers and making sure that when someone commits a crime, that we get those drug dealers off the streets and they can't commit more crimes and cause more death in the state of Michigan. Thank you both.
So this is our last question. I have to read it very quickly. Last week, the CDC recommended adding COVID-19 vaccines to the recommended immunization schedule for both children and adults next year. We've got to be very adamant about this. This is not a mandate. This was a recommendation. This happens every single year. So as governor of Michigan, do you take them up on that recommendation and make sure that the COVID-19 vaccination be required for school?
But don't feel left out, switch owners, because on November 4th, you can
Yeah, I want to be very clear about this. This is a parent's decision. There will never be a mandate for the COVID-19 vaccine for children to go to school in a Dixon administration. I'm anxious to hear what Gretchen Whitmer has to say because she was forcing the vaccine on people. You remember her program, Vax to Normal? You could only get your liberties and freedoms back if you got your neighbor vaccinated. She will likely push this on your children. I want you to know that I will never push the COVID-19 vaccine on your children. That is your choice, and it will always be your choice as long as I am your governor.
Governor Whitmer?
No, I do not support requiring the COVID vaccine for children. But let's talk about COVID. It hit our state hard. It hit this community incredibly hard. We had hospitals that were full. We had morgues that were full. We had refrigerated trucks outside of hospitals because we didn't even have enough masks for our doctors and didn't have a place to put deceased people. We made quick decisions to save lives, and studies show we saved thousands. I am proud of that. But while I was getting death threats, saving lives during COVID, my opponent was sowing conspiracy theories. She was saying that kids could get impacted. No need for masks. She even said vaccines carried the mark of the beast and government trackers. It's that kind of foolishness that actually endangers people. If she had been governor during COVID, thousands more people would have died.
Mrs. Dixon?
If that were at all true, why would I have gotten the vaccine myself? The governor is being dishonest once again, but that's what you do when you don't have policies to run on. When you killed more seniors than almost any other state, when you were told to stop the policy, but you kept it going, when you had such extreme unemployment fraud that you lost $8.5 billion worth of taxpayer money. She crushed our economy. 3,000 businesses, 3,000 restaurants died under Gretchen Whitmer and never came back. She kept our kids out of school.
Mrs. Dixon, I'm sorry, I have to keep us on time. Thank you. One more rebuttal from you, Governor.
I think you know what our priorities are. Hers would have been the bottom line. Mine were children. Mine were seniors. Mine was protecting people. As soon as vaccines became available, I deployed the Michigan National Guard to work with our nursing homes to make sure that if seniors wanted the vaccine, that they got it. And COVID rates plummeted. Had she been governor during that same time, thousands more nursing home residents would have passed away.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Doug. Candidates, it's now time for your closing statements. We promised you beforehand that we would reserve 90 seconds each for you all to be able to do that. According to the agreement and the draw that we had before, Governor Whitmer, you go first, and Mrs. Dixon, you get the final word.
Well, that was fast. Thank you for participating. As I think about the next 4 years and our future, I can't help but think of my own kids and all the young people in their generation. They're going to be making decisions about where to build their lives, and I sure hope it's in Michigan. In the second term, I will stay focused on building a Michigan where every person can get a good paying job with a secure retirement, send their kids to great schools with great teachers, know that they're going to be safe in their community, free from discrimination and hate, and make their own decisions about their bodies. This is an important election. My opponent has shown tonight that she's more interested in dividing us, halting our progress, and dragging us backwards. When she's not scripted and on stage, She stokes violence, spreads conspiracy theories, even attacks working women and teachers. And we need to come together and solve problems. As governor, 4 more years, I hope to have the opportunity to continue this service, and I will always put your interests first. I want to thank all the Republicans and independents who have supported me. I want to thank all the police organizations and business groups that have endorsed me, and of course my longtime supporters. I say let's continue to move our state forward, build a brighter future for future generations. This is a great state, and our future is bright. Asking for your vote.
Like many of you, I had children out of school for several years. Like many of you, I had a small business crush. Like many of you, I lost a loved one. Gretchen Whitmer doesn't want to be defined by her carelessness, her dishonesty, or her hypocrisy during that time. Even if we didn't look at that, we would look at her governorship as a disappointment. Her radical policies have crushed the state. Her choices have been destructive. But don't worry, there is another choice. Michigan, you're not better off 4 years now than you were 4 years ago. In fact, we're in the top 10 for crime in the nation. We're in the bottom 10 for reading and math in the nation. We lost 82,000 jobs, and we lost more small businesses than any other state. Gretchen Whitmer will stand on the stage tonight and tell you that's success. But you've all felt the pain of her failure, and you deserve better. If you choose me as your governor, I will put cops over criminals. I will put parents over politics. I will put students over systems. And I will make sure that we put money back in your pocket and we do a better job with the money that we have. I'll bring it back common sense, and I will make sure that we have better schools, more jobs, safer communities, and reliable roads. I want to be your governor.
What is happening, y'all? Cowboy here, and welcome to my starter guide for Ghost of Tsushima. So big thanks to Sony for access to the game. Because of them, I'm able to get guides like this out a little bit sooner to y'all to help you on your journey. Now, in this video, we're going to be covering a variety of topics, some combat tips, some early gear and where to get it, as well as the techniques I find most useful in general. We are still in the first region of the game, so there will be some minor spoilers, but they'll mainly just be names of missions, names of characters. We won't actually go into developments or story or anything along those lines. So, jumping on into it, the first thing I want to touch on are the early gear sets that you can access to give you an idea of what you might want to go for. And the first up is going to be the Traveler's Attire. Now, this is more of a utility armor, but what's great about this is it clears an extra 30% of the fall